Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
The imprisoned British mother, Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe, has been given a medical assessment to determine whether she's healthy enough to stay in her Iranian jail. According to campaigners fighting for her freedom, she was asked about her mental and physical health in the assessment on Sunday. A health commissioner is due to present his judgment on whether she's fit to stay behind bars later this week. This comes after her family says her health deteriorated as new allegations against the aid worker were broadcast on Iranian state television, including claims she set up a spy network. The programme showed what it claimed were documents that amount to proof of her guilt. The allegations were broadcast only hours after Nazanin called supporters taking part in a march to thank them. Mrs Zaghari-Ratcliffe is serving a 5-year sentence. She's accused of plotting to overthrow the Tehran government. Well, at the forefront of the campaign to free Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe has been her local MP, Tulip Siddiq. Now the Hampstead MP is being asked to use her influence to free another person who campaigners say has been locked up illegally, a British-trained barrister in Bangladesh who was abducted by men thought to be working for the government. The reason for the Tulip Siddiq connection? Her aunt is the Prime Minister of Bangladesh. Our chief correspondent, Alex Thompson, reports.
1, 2, 3!
Free Nazanin!
Good job, Dave.
Hampstead, North London, and a rally to free Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe, currently being held in Iran. And in the thick of it, local MP Tulip Siddiq.
Yeah, hold your sign. Very good.
Her profile is rising rapidly with this campaign.
We need the Foreign Secretary there to defend Nazanin and to make sure she gets the protection that she deserves.
Isn't he the last person to go after what he's just said?
You know what? Boris Johnson did make a grave error, but since then he has retracted his statement, he has apologised.
Tulip Siddiq has undoubtedly played a leading role in the campaign to free Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe. But many now say she could also, with one phone call, play a huge role in freeing another person, also with a young family, also held by a repressive government, Bangladesh. Ahmed bin Qasim, a British-trained Bangladeshi barrister, member of the British Bar. He was kidnapped by government agents in Bangladesh in August last year and hasn't been seen since. Like hundreds more, he has been disappeared.
In the middle of the night, they came in and they demanded to see Arman and where he was, where his whereabouts are. And as that was unfolding, my cousin answered the door. He's like, you know, the person he was looking for is me. And at that point, they told him that he only had a few minutes to say goodbye to his family. They didn't want to give him any reason or any time to pack or say goodbye to his family. Like, I didn't give him much time to say goodbye to his family. And in a few minutes, they stormed into the house and took him and dragged him downstairs to a minibus and took him away.
He was defending his father, the prominent opposition leader Mir Qasim Ali, tried, then hanged for his part in the country's civil war. People are now begging Tulip Siddiq to intervene with the government in Dhaka to free Mr. bin Qasim. And here's why. Tulip Siddiq's aunt is none other than Sheikh Hasina, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, leader of the ruling Awami League party. Tulip Siddiq is happy to be seen out with her prime ministerial aunt, accompanying her to Moscow, for instance, to meet Vladimir Putin. When she won the Hampstead and Kilburn seat, she immediately paid tribute to her aunt.
Today I remember my auntie Sheikh Hasina. I learned how to campaign from her, and I've learned about social justice from her.
Whilst a UK Labour activist, she appeared to describe herself as a spokesperson for her aunt's Awami League. That's since disappeared from her website, as has this entry celebrating the Awami League's election success. In 2008, she wrote,
"The Awami League has won the election by a landslide. I'm ecstatic."
Ecstatic but compromised. She campaigns here for human rights, but supported her aunt's government there, which is brutal and repressive.
In terms of enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings, it has a terrible record. Now, these individuals are kept secretly. Their whereabouts is entirely unknown.
But brutal or not, no other British MP has her contacts with the Dhaka regime. None is capable of helping to free Ahmad bin Qasim like she can.
Tulip is a highly unusual member of parliament. I don't think there's any other member of parliament who is so related to the senior tiers of another country. And Tulip Siddiq has the power to intervene if she wants to. And even if, I can't say for sure that they will be released, but there's no other person outside of Bangladesh who has more influence over the government than Tulip Siddiq.
He's made it crystal clear that Nazanin was actually on holiday in Iran.
Immediately after this recent interview on Channel 4 News, Tulip Siddiq told us she was unaware of Ahmad bin Qasim's case. She then repeated that to us several times. In fact, she's been notified about the case and begged to help over and over and over again. In Parliament, by us repeatedly, by lawyers and by Mr Qasim's mother, who wrote to her begging for help.
I urge you, look into this issue with the heart of a mother and the desperation she feels when her child goes missing.
But Tulip Siddiq simply refuses to help. So at that weekend rally in Hampstead, we asked her why not. This is what happened. The case of Ahmad bin Qasim, Bangladeshi man who's been disappeared by the regime, which obviously you're close with your family connections. People are saying with one phone call, just like this campaign, you could pick up the phone. This man, Ahmad bin Qasim, his family's written to you many times. We've told you about him. He's not your constituent, but with one phone call, you could make a huge difference.
No, sorry. Who?
You could make a huge difference.
I just want to ask. No. I just want to know. Is he Hampstead? Is he British citizen?
No, he's not a Hampstead resident.
Is he British citizen?
He's a British citizen. It's Bangladeshi, but it's being said by many people that you could phone up.
Are you aware that I'm a British MP?
I am.
You are.
You're also very well connected to the regime.
I'm born in London. Are you implying I'm a Bangladeshi politician?
You said many times. You've said on a blog post. You've said on a blog post.
MP for Hampstead and Kilburn.
You've described yourself as a spokesperson for the Awami regime.
I am a Labour
You have described yourself as a spokesman for the regime. Your aunt is the Prime Minister. With one phone call you can... No, I'm saying with one phone call you can make a difference.
What you're saying.
I'm saying with one phone call you can make a difference. Why won't you make that phone call?
This is absolutely desperate. This is desperate.
Why won't you make that one phone call? Yes, and we're covering that. As she walked out, her office manager, Oliver Denton, walked in.
Sorry, can you stop pushing me?
What are you talking about?
You just pushed my camera.
Okay, stop filming.
Our producer then attempted to get answers to questions.
I'm not Bangladeshi, and the person you're talking about, I have no idea about their case. That is the end of my statement.
She then made an apparently threatening remark to our producer, who is pregnant.
Thanks, Daisy, for coming. Hope you have a great birth, because child labour is hard for you.
Tulip Siddiq sits on the Women and Equality Select Committee in Parliament. The only reason she's ever given us for not helping Ahmad bin Qasim is that he's never lived in Hampstead. He's not a constituent. Yet this is what the MP apparently told a Bangladeshi online newspaper.
You don't have to be in Bangladesh or England. I try to help Bangladeshis in England in whatever way it is possible.
I travelled to Dhaka in November 2016 and I met with a number of diplomats there and asked them what could we do to free Arman. And what they told me was the person to speak to is Tulip Siddiq MP, because all it would take, they said, is a phone call from her for him to be released.
Tonight, mystery surrounds the whereabouts of Ahmad bin Qasim in Bangladesh. Mystery also surrounds the Hampstead MP, who says she'll help Bangladeshis anywhere, but clearly won't in this case.
Now, new developments on our story from last night about the Labour MP Tulip Siddiq and allegations that she's ignoring the plight of a Bangladeshi barrister, despite the fact her aunt is the Prime Minister there. This programme now understands that after we interviewed Ms Siddiq on Saturday, asking why she would not help the family of Ahmad bin Qasim, who has been detained in Bangladesh and not heard from, police have turned up at his family home in the capital, Dhaka. There's no suggestion that this has anything to do with Ms Siddiq, but Channel 4 News understands the family has apparently been asked to behave themselves, and this is the first such visit for some time. This as Tulip Siddiq apologised today for what she said was an ill-judged remark to a member of our team. Well, our chief correspondent, Alex Thompson, has the latest. What can you tell us, Alex?
Well, yes, it all rolled into Prime Minister's questions, amongst other things today. And as you mentioned, that fulsome apology so far as her own personal conduct is concerned. Her political, wider conduct is a matter of some growing concern, and there are a number of other cases, including one of the disappeared, as they call them in Bangladesh, who is British. The real immediate concern and the focus of this isn't Channel 4 News, nor should it be, nor indeed Tulip Siddiq. It is, of course, the man concerned, Ahmed bin Qassem. His family, defenceless family, now find themselves being visited by armed men in force. They're extremely worried that they should become disappeared as well. Now, here's the thing. Sometime between Channel 4 News having that meeting with Tulip Siddiq on Saturday lunchtime in London and putting out our piece last night, somehow the Bangladeshis got some wind of it, it appears. It could be coincidence, but somehow they've got informed and they have stepped up the pressure on this family. And that's exceedingly worrying, because there are hundreds of people in the opposition in Bangladesh who've been disappeared by what is, by all accounts, globally recognised as an extremely brutal regime. And Tulip Siddiq, as we'll see tonight, is uniquely concerned with that. So let's start off, I think, first of all, looking at the person who's become the real focus, and rightly so, at the centre of this, the man concerned who's been disappeared and his family. Ominous developments tonight concerning the family of the person at the centre of this story, the British-trained barrister Ahmed bin Qassem, kidnapped by government agents in Bangladesh. We met Tulip Siddiq around midday on Saturday. From then on, Mr. Qassem's family in Bangladesh say they've been harassed by government forces. That is, before last night's report was broadcast.
Uniformed police officers attending the property happened before the Channel 4 show with Tulip Siddiq aired last night. So there was already some intimidation. But what happened today, after the show was aired last night here, is a large number of armed police officers came onto the property. Fully armoured and armed police officers came onto the property, and that was a very intimidating thing to happen. And the family were worried that they were going to be disappeared by the security forces.
Coincidence possibly, but since last night's report, the harassment in Bangladesh has reportedly increased.
What's happened here, it seems, is they found out about the programme in some way before it's been aired, and they're seeking to intimidate the family there. And that's what's happened yesterday and again today. And what I hope is those with the power in this country, and they know who they are, make it quite clear to the Bangladeshi authorities that harassment and intimidation of the family will not be tolerated.
We asked Tulip Siddiq if she or anyone she knows contacted the Bangladesh authorities after the meeting. We've yet to have a response to that specific question. Tulip Siddiq is a human rights campaigning MP, but her family contacts with the brutal Awami League Bangladeshi government go far beyond simply the Prime Minister, who is her aunt.
Her mother is the sister of Sheikh Hasina, is also a powerful person within the Awami League. Her uncle, her father's brother, is the military advisor to Sheikh Hasina and has a significant role in respect of law enforcement agencies. And her brother is a propagandist for the Awami League.
In a statement issued this morning, Tulip Siddiq said,
"I have no capability nor desire to influence politics in Bangladesh."
Yet she apparently carried the following, now deleted, statement on her website when she was a Labour activist.
I'm interested in Bangladeshi politics and managed a successful media campaign for Sheikh Hasina, recently elected Prime Minister of Bangladesh. In my spare time, I work for the Awami League as part of its UK and EU lobbying unit and election strategy team.
You described yourself as a spokesperson for the Awami regime. This morning, Tulip Siddiq issued the following apology after refusing to answer our questions and making threatening and offensive comments.
I want to apologise unreservedly for my comments to Channel 4's producer, which were an offhand and ill-judged attempt to deal with what I felt was a hostile situation.
Today, this whole issue reached Parliament, from Tulip Siddiq's personal conduct to the grave situation of hundreds of people being disappeared by the Bangladeshi government, all raised during Prime Minister's questions.
Mr. Speaker, many mothers in this chamber know how hard childbirth can be, but we would never use that knowledge in a veiled threat against a journalist when being questioned in the way the Honourable Member for Hampstead and Kilburn did when questioned by a Channel 4 journalist recently. As I assume the First Secretary is not pregnant, would he please complete the work that journalist tried and ask the Honourable Member for Hampstead and Kilburn to use her influence with her aunt, who is the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, whose regime is responsible for the kidnapper of Ahmed bin Qasim and ask for his release?
And I can assure my honourable friend that Bangladesh remains an important human rights priority area for the Foreign Office, and that we continue to raise allegations of enforced disappearances at all levels of the government of Bangladesh.
Outside Parliament, Tulip Siddiq's been rightly praised for her human rights campaigning, from the British woman held in Iran across a variety of issues from Palestine to the Rohingya. She's always claimed she can't intervene in this case because Mr Qasim isn't a constituent. He's never lived in Hampstead. After last night's report, a number of MPs contacted us from various parties to say they routinely work for non-constituents if they have special contacts, and what Ms Siddiq says is nonsense.
I've been